the money that we had voted on.
Are you referring to their wage increase, or are you talking about the hazard pay?
Hazard pay, just for the citizen poll workers.
My memo addressed that. I don't think we could do hazard pay just for poll workers. That's my opinion, and the opinion of our finance director, our HR director, and our city attorney. But ultimately, that would be a decision the council would make. We're just giving you staff's recommendation.
I just wanted to say something. You know, employee morale is so important to me as the HR manager. I love recruiting, but I especially like to retain our talented staff. And I just worry that, you know, if we pass hazard pay for poll workers, you know, we've got library staff, we've got police and fire, we've got public works employees, a lot of people that are, you know, in a really tough situation right now. So I'm just really worried that, you know, I like the idea. I really do. If we had the money to do that across the board and try to do that in a way that worked, it's a difficult thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, again, poll workers are only getting $8 an hour, which is significantly less than if we have staff working polls or whatever. They're already making less. They're making less than citizen committee members would get as a per diem for attending meetings. I don't think it's unreasonable to consider at least the citizen poll workers getting extra pay for these two elections on election day.
Dorothy, I believe that would be a budgetary issue, something we'd bring up during the budget, that if you believe we have employees that are underpaid, I believe that would be the appropriate time to increase those positions' wages would be during the budget process.
Correct. If we wanted to make a permanent correction, we can certainly talk about that during budget pay or during budget time. But for right now, we're talking about these two elections that have special circumstances.
I think you have staff's opinion in front of you. I don't have anything additional to add.
I have a question for Sarah. Is it possible to find out if a poll worker, like maybe you already know the answer, but I guess I want to clarify. Is it possible to find out that if a poll worker got sick, if our workman's comp would cover some of the, I don't know what it would cover, but would it cover something for them?
So it's not a guarantee. So this is a very tricky situation. So you might have heard police and fire too, even if they contract COVID in their line of work, it's not 100% guarantee that workers' comp is going to cover. They really need to pinpoint it back to a specific person, specific situation in which they are now positive with COVID. So what we've had staff do is that if they present with symptoms after a situation where they know they were in contact with a positive case, then we have them fill out a workers' comp injury form, and we wait to see if the employee starts to feel symptoms or starts to get sick, because there's no point in sending in the form if they don't ever end up getting COVID or getting sick from it. To date, we haven't had to send any in. So it would really we'd have to know that somebody came to the polls, was positive. We'd have to know, we would need some specifics, so it's not a guarantee.
And would you, yeah, you might not be able to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Would you say that it's probably unlikely that somebody would be able to, like the difficulty of pinpointing a specific person that made you contract?
I'll be honest, it's going to be really hard, absolutely, unless we know
Very
specifically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So I think my inclination with this is to amend it to cover a $7 an hour increase for citizen poll workers only. Is that something that would be agreeable to you, Gabriella? And this would be a recommendation going forward.
I personally think that if we're going to extend it to poll workers, we should extend it to everybody, regardless of whether or not they're an employee of the city, just because they're dealing with the same type of risk. So my preference would be to extend it to everybody that works the polls, whether or not they're a citizen, or I guess not an employee of the city.
And I end up, like, again, coming back to $8 an hour, asking people to volunteer to step into a position where they're putting themselves at risk. When the staff that, there's some staff that has to do poll work, but there's also staff apparently that volunteers to do it as part of their job. But our staff is already making at least $15 an hour.
Dorothy, can I just add something? I was reading Pat's memo, and it looks like we have 74 election workers right now ready to go. And then we have 17 that have already applied in our active job posting. So, I mean, even if we lose some interest between now and August, I mean, we already meet our minimum requirement. So if we didn't have any applicants right now and we had, a very small number of election workers that said they were going to be here in August, I would be very concerned, absolutely. But based on the information we have in front of us right now, it appears that we're right on target for the number of people we need. I just wanted to add that.
And that presumes that things don't get worse as they have been, and people kind of change their minds. I want to continue the conversation regardless. I would like to not just flat out vote this down and say that the personnel committee is not recommending it. So I would like a vote other than that.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to vote if we want to move forward.
The other thing I guess I just want to bring up is that I'm sure the city, in reference to the poll workers, some of this conversation I'm hearing makes me think that they're not going to have masks. They're not going to have hand wipes. We're going to keep people close together. It's none of that. I'm sure it's none of that. And this Pandora's box you're going down, the whole city, I'll tell you, if I was on the police force, I'd be knocking on Dorothy's door and saying, look, I want hazardous pay. I want hazardous pay tomorrow. I put myself and my family in the front line, and these poll workers there once a day, which I get that. But I'm here every day, 365 days of the year, and you're going to give them pay increase? Just be aware of what you're doing before you do it. Because there's a whole lot of employees in the city that I'd be knocking on the door. I'd be at Pat's door lined up if this went through. And I don't blame them. How can you blame them? So be careful what you wish for here. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have people working the polls with safety, because I know we will. I know we will. I know we will. Without a doubt in my mind. I know the city that well. That if there's too many people that come up, they'll hold them back. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure I'm right on.
No, you're right on. I mean, we even have a cleaning company that will be coming in.
Hold them up.
We have a fogger now. We'll be fogging City Hall, repeatedly. We've got enough masks to go around. We've got disinfection, procedures. So we're really well equipped because we're trying to take care of our employees that are here right now. So anyone that comes into our building, whether they're employee or they're the member of the public, I mean, it's going to be amazing. And we're going to make sure we're going to try our best to make sure no one gets sick.
We could vote. Okay.
Yeah, so thanks to Pat and Sarah. I think these are really important parts of the discussion. And Pat, well, both of you, I hope that maybe you'll consider coming to council when we discuss, well, Pat, you're always there.
I'll be there.
But Sarah, if you might want to consider coming on the 21st when we talk about this at council, because I do think that this is something that we need to talk about.
Via Zoom would be fine.
Yeah, so I would welcome you, but I am planning, I understand what you're saying. I think this is really complicated, but I am going to pass it so we can talk about it at council. So that's what I'm planning to do.
All right, anything else for now then? Are we ready to vote? The motion that we have is to pass it as is. Again, I'd be inclined to amend it, but I will allow it to go through as is for discussion by other bodies. So all in favor of passing it as it is?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay. So 2-1, and we'll pass it on and note reservations that people have had.
And just for clarification, I'm glad you got the vote out of the way, but in the future, for clarification, no matter if this body voted it down or voted it up, it still would go to finance and council. Your just recommendation would be different. So I don't
Correct.
think if something gets voted down here, it's thrown out now, because it would still go through the other bodies.
Pat, can I request that you two, along with Tracy, the clerk, go to finance too?
We will.
Just a thought, okay?
No, we will.
Okay.
No doubt.
And Pat, can you include your memo in the agenda packet for the council as well?
I will, and I'll also forward that to the all the council members as I did this body today.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to both of you for your efforts. And thanks for Gabriella for presenting it. Then we can move on to the next agenda item, which is report from department.
Okay. So we're participating in a drive-through job fair. So, I mean, folks are looking at being creative now that we really can't meet in person. So that's July 15th in Madison. That's hosted by the Workforce Development Board of South Central Wisconsin. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what location. It sounds like it's multiple locations. So once I find out exactly, I'll let you know. But again, that's July 15th. So we basically printed about 500 flyers. They must be expecting a lot of people. And the flyers include all of our job openings and how to apply. So that is very nice. We're starting to pull together an employee resource group focused on racial equity and social justice. So actually, right now we have 3 members. We're about to send out an email to all staff to gauge interest. We're looking at this group to bring awareness and have some discussions, think about what we can do to recruit and retain, diverse individuals that represent and, value and foster diversity and inclusion. So it's really exciting. So we hope to have something, hopefully by August, a group that will kind of look at everything that we're doing and look for ways for improvement. One of the things I'm putting in my budget for 2021 is implicit bias training for all of our staff, including training right when new hires start. Right now, we don't do any type of implicit bias training. We had a diversity and inclusion training by CIVMIC last fall, but this would be something that would not just hopefully be a one session. It's not a PowerPoint. It actually is some strong discussions and conversations with people at your table, and it also includes like a 9-part online part that you can do outside of the one-time session. So my goal is not to just bring someone in for a one-time training and call it done. I think this is something that we want to continue and just have discussions about. So you'll see that in my budget for 2021. And then lastly, just really busy with COVID, the ever-changing orders, and I'm the point person for anyone that has COVID symptoms, needs the COVID application because they're going to be out. We've had no positive cases with any of our employees here at City of Fitchburg, which is amazing. So just continuing to hopefully stay on that track and putting together additional precautions and getting all the mandatory notices up for folks. So it's just a lot with COVID, a lot unexpected that I didn't foresee for this year. So So that is just my report. I will try to always have something in paper form for you that will highlight kind of recruitments and retention and turnover. But this one was a rush one for me. So that's just a summary for you.
Thanks for moving the meeting up, Sarah. I appreciate that.
You bet. Absolutely.
And I know on the equity topic, you and I have been going back and forth a little bit, Sarah, talking about some of the books that are available through the library. There's also a lot of really excellent documentary films and TV series that's available streaming that I'd encourage people to watch. The whole equity question is something that has been a systemic part of our society since the formation of this country. And I think the vast majority of people don't realize how deeply embedded it is in us. So there's a lot of education that's needed just to help people understand what has happened in our society that has impacted all of this. And that there's a whole lot of parts to it. So
Yep,
I appreciate us getting into all of that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Dorothy, and I really appreciate all of the resources that you've sent my way as well. You have a lot of good contacts and a lot of good material that you've been sending, so I appreciate it. If either anyone has information you'd like to send, this would be great for me to funnel through the employee resource group, and then we can share out things with all staff.
Excellent. Anything else? Any questions, comment, discussion on that, Tom?
Sarah, for you too, Dorothy, Sarah, in reference to these meetings, could we just keep them to the same Wednesday, or with the first Wednesday of the month, whatever this is? Is that okay with you? I mean, instead of going back and forth all the time. Now, I realize if we don't need a meeting, we don't need it, but is that good with people's schedule? You know, are we the first Wednesday?
We're the second Wednesday of
Second.
every month, yep. And I set it up as not every month, every other month. So I set it up as a reoccurring meeting request. So I already sent that out a couple weeks ago, I believe. So definitely check your calendar. So our next meeting should be in September.
Second Wednesday, though, is that what we're
Yep,
looking at?
second Wednesday at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Yep,
That's fine. I don't know. That's
okay.
fine. That's okay. That's fine.
Okay, so that kind of covers announcements unless there's more. Anyone have anything else? No?
Nothing.
No.
And I would take a motion for adjournment.
So moved for adjournment.
Thank you, Tom. Unless there's objection, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and Fact TV as well.